早安，大家好，欢迎各位来到2019第4届台湾区块链爱好者年会。我们的活动再过大约5分钟将会正式开始，所以请大家尽可能的尽快入座。另外也要提醒您，为了尊重今天台上所有的讲者，还有其他参与活动的朋友们，请务必先要将您的手机转成静音的模式。那如果现在在感恩厅找不到座位的朋友，其实也不用担心，我们在隔壁的204还有205有设置这一次年会的同步直播，所以大家可以移步到旁边的房间找位子坐下来，我们也会有工作人员引导大家。大家可以在隔壁的房间跟我们一同参与今天的年会，谢谢。好，请大家尽快的就座，我们的活动即将就要开始了，谢谢。 在这里，想要正式欢迎各位大家来到今年2019第4届台湾区块链爱好者年会。我是今天的主持人 Ellen 李仲祥。Welcome everybody, good morning. It is my greatest pleasure to welcome everyone to 2019, the 4th Taiwan Blockchain Summit here at Taipei Tech Convention Center. My name is Ellen, and I am honored to be your host for today. 那提醒各位比较晚到感恩厅的朋友们，如果您现在在这里找不到座位的话，请不用担心，我们在隔壁的204还有205都有设置这一次年会的同步直播，所以请大家可以移步到旁边的房间，也可以不用担心会错过今天的任何活动。那自2016年开始，每一年的11月，我们台湾区块链爱好者们都会聚集，也会定期举办类似像是同学会的年会。除了跟大家分享过去这一年区块链技术在各个领域的发展之外，我们同时也会邀请多位的跨领域专家，像是今年我们就邀请到德国以及澳洲的区块链协会会长们，由这些国内外的专家学者们所组成的专业讲座。那其实今年举办到第4届，我们有发现参加的人数比过往多了很多。那在这其中，一定跟主持人我一样，对区块链这3个字好像有点似懂非懂，或是不太了解到底是什么，刚接触还是不太熟悉的朋友们。那我们特地也为了这些朋友们，在隔壁的展演空间，我们设置了 Blockchain Living Lab， 这是一站式的体验展演。大家可以透过这一站式体验展演呢，可以从最基础的来认识区块链，像是 mining， 还有虚拟货币等等。那我们大家可以有时间的话，可以到我们隔壁的展演空间。那本届的年会主轴为资料互操作性 （Information Interoperability）， 以凸显数位资产管理还有资料治理的议题。那今天来自各个领域的专家们都会与会的探讨，像是去中心化应用协定、公有链技术、资安钱包，还有脸书币 Libra 等等。为了要帮助来参加年会的各位朋友们更加了解区块链的应用议题、相关技术新知，那跟我们一同推动区块链的倡议以及教育工作。那在开始我们进入我们的专题演讲之前，我们首先要邀请2位贵宾上台为我们致辞。那第一位是行政院科技汇报办公室执行秘书蔡志宏执行秘书，让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎蔡志宏执行秘书上台为我们致辞。
各位嘉宾，来自海内外的朋友，以及政府部门伙伴，大家早。很高兴啊，今天再次来到我们区块链爱好者年会啊。行政院科技汇报办公室几年来啊，我们有持续在提供一些资源来协助这个年会的办理。我们是希望看到区块链这样的技术能够深入到我们的各种生活应用。好，不像许多的这个网络上面大家初期看到的，就是加密货币这样的单一的一个应用跑在最前面。事实上，随着国人在手机上面应用的多元化，我们现在食衣住行娱乐有很多领域都可以用手机跟电脑来完成。那我想这2年还有一些新的变化，我们也已经看到。我们在比方说网银的开设，网银通过了3家，事实上它影响影响力不是来自于这3家，事实上已经刺激了所有其他的银行一起加强他们在数位账号以及数位的金融活动的这样的强度。那我们的手机，我们也看到一个趋势，它快速的结合 AI， 快速的结合强大的云端的运算能力，所以将来大家在手机或者是相关的区块链应用上面，可以执行更复杂的运算跟合约。那我想这个都是很健康良性的发展，所以预祝各位与会的嘉宾专家们在这2天有很充分的交流，大家都收获满满，也祝大家身体健康，事业顺利，谢谢。
非常感谢蔡志宏执行秘书的致辞，为我们开启今天早上的年会。 那第2位我们要邀请上台我们致辞的贵宾是 FIDO Alliance 张欣凌董事代表，让我们用热烈的掌声欢迎张欣凌董事代表上台我们致辞。
谢谢大家，大家早，我是欣凌，我来自神盾股份有限公司。那神盾呢是一个专门做指纹辨识感测晶片 IC 设计的公司。那但是呢，我在这边不是为了这个职称而来，这个公司而来。我来这里，在这边呢是为了 FIDO Alliance， 也就是 FIDO Alliance 的 Board Representative， 也就是董事代表。那刚刚好呢，我在前面2个月9月的时候，获董事会提名为GDWG， 也就是政府应用工作组的主席，在这边也跟大家分享这个比较新鲜的一个新闻。但是我还有另外一个来这边的原因，我等一下再跟各位报告。今天非常非常高兴在这边再次来见证了区块链爱好者大会第4年第4度的办理。我们在场啊，每年都一样，在场有很多来自于政府或者是来自于产业相当多的资深的专家或者是主管，就在这个位置上。那我们都著有声誉哦，大家，我们都知道一件事情，很专心一致的做下去，一定有它的价值，一定有它的道理存在。啊，为什么会这样说呢？因为这个区块链爱好者的第1年的办理，我就是在主办单位这里，我正在行政院科技汇报，我就跟刚刚的蔡子密在这边哦。那我看着这个会议从第1年办到第2年，然后呢到第3年、第4年，我已经从公部门转到业界来了。那这件事情，这个大会就好像我看着这个像TACA我们的主办单位协会哦。一点一滴，逐年逐一的每一件事情，包括了经费的来源，包括了场地怎么处理，包括了议程怎么安排，包括了讲师的邀请、来宾的邀请等等等，每一件事情都是这么的投入，这么的用心。他对区块链的理念和信念，我都觉得相当的感动。在这边真的是非常谢谢主办单位。那么就好像我们在第1年的时候，那个时候呢，我们在闭幕式就在这个台子上，然后那时候有来自金管会资管处的蔡福龙蔡处长，他就跟我说：“欣凌，我们明年也要在这里。”然后我就说：“啊，我们明年也要在这里，后年也要在这里，大后年也要在这里，我们每年都要在这里。这个时候，这个地点就在北科大区块链爱好者大会，每年都要在这边办理。”我就说：“好，是的，知道了。”今年第4年，我们做到了，非常非常的，请大家给协会跟自己一个鼓励，真的非常开心。然后呢，我前2周参加工研院那个产科国际所的眺望2020的一个产业趋势的研讨会。那其中有一个想法，我想在这边跟大家做个分享。最近不是很红 AI 的议题嘛？然后呢，全球各大厂也都在讲，也都在关注这个议题。那么有一个国际组织就因此而成立起来，叫做 Partnership on AI。Partnership on AI。那么这个全球已经有90多个企业厂商参与的第1排，我赢第1排。这个全球已经有90几个厂商参与的 Partnership on AI 这个国际组织里面，大家正在讨论 AI 是否具备道德、安全、公平、包容、信任以及稳健等等的特性。也就是说，研究 AI 的信任行为准则 ，Building AI for Good by People for People。目的呢是结合了 AI 的工程师和 AI 的爱好者，为社会公益建立 AI 模型。企业呢也可以提问到这个平台上征求解题。这个 idea 我在这边跟大家分享。今天呢是区块链爱好者大会的第4次、第4度、第4年的办理。我看到这个会议又更盛大的展开，议程呢也都更多样性，外面也会有一些的应用，让大家做一个实务的参考。我其实在第1年跟第2年办理的时候，我还在行政院科技汇报。那到第3年、第4年，我已经从公部门转到了业界。我看着这个区块链爱好者大会从0开始，慢慢一步一步的前进，到现在，此时此刻，我希望我们以后，不管是今年，不管是明年，我们一直都要在这里，然后 来当区块链的爱好者，当区块链爱好者的朋友，当区块链爱好者的观察员，这样好不好？我们一起，不管习大大或者是马云最近说了什么对于区块链的事情，我们一定要 building blockchain for good, by people for people。那谢谢各位区块链的爱好者、爱好者的朋友、爱好者的观察员们。我们明天，不管是不是今天，我们明天要再见。明年要再见，大后年也一定要在这边相见。接下来我就把舞台交给我们美丽的会议主持人，我们一定要记得 building blockchain for good, by people for people。谢谢大家，谢谢。
好，那我们先请我们的我们要先请我们张欣凌董事代表先留步，因为接下来要进入我们的大合照环节。那我们要再次邀请刚才上台致辞的蔡志宏执行秘书再一次来到台上。好，请邀请他，我们用热烈掌声欢迎他们再次来到台上。And next it is my great pleasure to invite our two guests. The first one is Mr. Florian Glatz. He's the president of Bondisblock on stage for our group picture. And our second guest is the founder and president of Blockchain Australia Association, Mr. Ronald Tucker. Please come on stage for our group picture. 那再来的贵宾，我们要邀请上台的是资策会副执行长杨仁达副执行长，他也是这一次的协办单位。那我们邀请杨仁达副执行长上台，跟我们一起合照。那再来还有行政院科技汇报办公室科技前瞻组主任张文英主任，我们邀请张文英主任上台跟我们一起大合照。那最后一位，我们要邀请我们这一次的主办单位台湾区块链爱好者协会理事长高奇君理事长上台。那各位长官就位的时候呢，就请用最灿烂的笑容面对我们的镜头。或是可以比个赞来纪念这是第4届的年会。Thank you。那我们用热烈掌声开启我们第4届的台湾区块链爱好者年会，期待我们接下来也会有第5届、第6届、第7届、第8届等等。那再来大合照之后呢，我们要正式进入我们今天上午的活动。那我们第一个为大家准备的专题演讲 ，The first keynote we have prepared for you this morning. The topic will be the digital securities from an European perspective. 从欧洲角度来检视数位安全性。And for this keynote, it is my great pleasure to invite again on stage Mr. Florian Glatz. He's the president of Bondisblock, which Bondisblock is the founding member of INEBA. 那我们用热烈掌声欢迎 Mr. Glatz on stage. Mr. Glatz, the floor is all yours. Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for coming in such a big crowd. And thank you for having me and inviting me to speak here. It's a big honor. It's my first time in Taiwan. I arrived 2 days ago, and I'm just in awe about how beautiful Taipei is and how welcoming everybody is. And it's very exciting to see how much development is actually going on in terms of blockchain right here. And I think I'm here to share a bit the German perspective on blockchain and the European perspective, and to tell you a bit about what we're doing and how that relates to the efforts that are going on here. I think there's a lot of potential for collaboration, which is, I think, what blockchain is all about. And it's a pleasure to share the German experience with you. So quickly about me, who am I? I am both a lawyer and a software developer, which until recently was a very rare combination of skills, but thanks to blockchain technology, it becomes more and more important that people understand both the legal aspects and the technological aspects of blockchain in order to be able to progress in the journey towards mass adoption of this technology. Indeed, I am the founder one of the founders really, and currently also the president of the German Blockchain Association. And it is our mission to help the German government understand the technology and adopt progressive regulation in order to make blockchain technology recognized by the legal system, and thereby enabling companies that build and develop blockchain technology to be able to bring it to the mass market. And as you guys know from Taiwan, I'm sure, it is necessary that the government supports the technology for it to be able to be mass adopted. And here you can see in 2017, that was more than 2 years ago, we started out with 30 founding members of the association, and now we're way above 100 members and growing and growing. And Germany has a very active blockchain ecosystem. We have a lot of projects, particularly in Berlin, that are doing really interesting things in terms of open source, protocol development. Ethereum was essentially developed from Berlin in 2014 and 2015. The Live network was launched from there. We have other interesting projects sitting in Berlin, and it's quite an active ecosystem. The first big achievement of the association was that we convinced the German government to recognize blockchain as an important strategic goal that the government needs to understand and develop regulation for. And this is a quote from the coalition agreement between the two parties that are currently forming the government in Germany. It's the Conservative Party and the Social Democratic Party, and they together form the German government, and in their coalition contract they agreed that they have to develop a legal framework to empower and enable blockchain applications in Germany. And in this talk I want to focus on one very specific application of blockchain technology that Germany is currently supporting and actually becoming a leader in, and that is using blockchain to create digital securities. So securities, as many of you know for sure, is a type of financial instrument that is regulated by law, and in Germany, the industry around the emission and the trading of securities is basically stuck in the 20th century. So it's all about paper-based manual processes, and it involves a lot of intermediaries. And the idea is that you can use blockchain to digitize this complete industry and get rid of many intermediaries. But financial markets are heavily regulated for good reasons, so it takes a joint effort of both the private industry and the government to come together in order to actually make this idea real. And the next big milestone that my association achieved was to convince the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Justice to write a paper together, which you can see here. It's in German, but there's an English translation on the internet if you look for it, where they lay out a plan of how Germany can become a world leader in creating a new standard for digital securities. Another kind of term for this idea is called security token offerings, or STO. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this phenomenon. And essentially it's about representing securities as blockchain tokens, right? So tokenizing securities. And this draft paper really created a lot of international attention, because many countries are trying to get there, but nobody has reached really this goal yet. And there's no clear answer of how to get there, and we're very proud that Germany tries to be part of the countries that understand how this works. Germany, just like Taiwan, has a financial market authority, a supervision authority that regulates all the players in the financial ecosystem. In Germany, this authority is called BaFin, so it's like the SEC of Germany, and they are very conservative. They have a good reputation because they are very strict and well-funded and very active, but they also have the reputation to be very conservative. For example, in 2013, they said Bitcoin is a financial instrument which had huge ramifications. So for example, in Germany, there are no Bitcoin ATMs, because if you want to put up a Bitcoin ATM, you basically need a banking license, which no startup in the world will ever get. So it was a big problem, and still is a big problem, for the blockchain ecosystem. And so it was to the surprise of everybody that BaFin started to approve security tokens in 2019 as basically maybe the first country in the world. And you can just check on the internet. There are a number of English publications about tokenization directly on the website of BaFin if you want to understand their perspective. What is fascinating about it is that BaFin is capable of mapping the idea of security tokens directly to the existing laws. So we have the very traditional laws in Germany, but BaFin is able to say, okay, well, security tokens, they fit in this framework, and thereby we can approve them. And so currently in Germany, we have 3 STOs, 3 security token offerings currently in the market in Germany, fully approved by BaFin. And these 3 kinds of securities exist as tokens on public permissionless blockchains, 2 on the Ethereum blockchain, 1 on the Stellar blockchain. The Conservative Party in Germany actually turns out to be the least conservative party when it comes to blockchain. They are actually actively supporting the technology, and in June of this year they published a very visionary paper of all the things they want to achieve with blockchain. I will talk about this a bit more. Then a big stock exchange in Germany also decided to create an exchange for digital securities. And they have more than 100 employees dedicated to building this marketplace. And they work on this every day. And 100 employees obviously is not much if you think about a big corporation, but if you think about a blockchain startup, 100 employees working on this every day for 2 years, it's a big commitment. And so they are, I think, the most interesting exchange working on digital securities currently in Europe, because they are fully regulated for, 30 years or more. They are a stock exchange. They are running one of the biggest bond markets in Europe. They are really huge. They have licenses in 6 European countries to operate stock exchange, and they are now introducing a digital securities exchange, which is quite amazing. They are the stock exchange of Stuttgart. Finally, then in September of this year, the German government published its blockchain strategy. And the blockchain strategy contains all the different strategic goals that the German government wants to achieve over the next 2 years. And here's a quick overview of some of these topics. Obviously, most importantly, for this talk at least, is digital security. So Germany really wants to become a world leader in establishing a new financial marketplace for this new type of asset. Equally important, I think, is the goal to digitize the euro. And what that implies is that basically the euro shall be available as a cryptocurrency on public blockchains. And the reason this topic is now so relevant in Germany and in Europe is because Facebook announced that they want to do their own stablecoin, the Libra, and in Germany is very afraid of that. They're very afraid to lose control to a private American company, and they really don't want that. And so they are pursuing two strategies right now. One, which is to try to make Libra illegal, which is very difficult. And the other one is to actually offer a better product than Libra. And a better product than Libra is basically the euro on the blockchain. And this is the strategy that we support that the government should take. We don't think they should forbid Libra. We think they should out-compete Libra with a better product, which is a digital euro. Then Germany wants to put, equity of private companies like limited corporations also on the blockchain, which requires a huge change in the current law. So this will be preceded by a year-long study on the implications if that should be done, and then a number of other topics, but I want to stick with digital securities. There is a draft law coming. It has official flagship status in the Ministry of Finance, and this draft law wants to make digital securities or security token offerings more legally secure in Germany. And it has a number of really deep implications when it comes to the German civil law system in order to make this happen. And the government wants to introduce the draft law on security token offerings even this year. And so we're looking forward to receive this draft law, and if it should come, I'm sure you can read about it in the English-speaking press. I want to, without diving too deep, I don't think I have too much time, I want to quickly give you an understanding how digital securities in principle work in Europe. And I'm saying Europe because luckily in Europe the capital market is almost completely harmonized across all the member states of the European Union. Because the European Union can basically create its own laws which become binding in every member state at the same time. And this is exactly what is going on in the capital market in Europe. And essentially when you want to create a security token offering in Germany or anywhere else in Europe, you need to basically bring two different systems together. You have the European Capital Market Supervisory Regulation, and that's the harmonized part. And then you also need to bring in the national civil law tradition of that respective country from which you're doing the offering, for example, Germany. So I'm also the founder of a startup that has one of these three security token offerings that are currently in the market. And so I know from first-hand experience what it takes to actually get to the point where you can do a legal security token offering in the market. And I think, so yesterday I talked to the Taiwanese Financial Market Authority and to the stock exchange and to others, and interestingly, the systems in Taiwan and in Germany are very similar. So that is interesting. So I think there's things we can learn from each other. And essentially, when you think about corporate finance, there's really two types of capital that you can potentially tokenize. It's equity and it's debt. And equity, at least today in Germany and most of Europe, cannot be tokenized. It's essentially requires deep changes to the current legal system, and it will take years in Germany for this to be adopted. So essentially what is the reason for this is, there are like very particular requirements hard-coded in the law that make it impossible for tokenization. These are form requirements. This is very limited transferability of equity. This is a requirement to go to a notary in Germany when you want to transfer equity, and there's no way to design around that. So if you think about security token offerings for, equity crowdfunding for startups, it's just not possible. I also think there are other reasons why it's not a good idea, but legally speaking, you just cannot do it. And so really what people are tokenizing are debt instruments, and particularly they are tokenizing bonds. Why? Well, a bond is a very standardized and internationally recognized debt instrument. And the nice thing also about a debt instrument is that you can design it in a way that it behaves like equity. So in essence, if you want to tokenize equity, which means that you want to give the people that buy your securities an economic participation right in the issuing entity, and you want to give them a participation that is basically like as if they were shareholders, you can basically design the debt instrument to behave like equity. And this is essentially what companies are doing today in Germany, and it makes a lot of sense. And then when you have designed that instrument under the national civil law tradition of the country from which you are doing the issuance, for example, Germany, you then have to package this instrument with the tools of the European financial market supervisory laws. And essentially, it needs to fulfill 4 functionalities, which is that this instrument needs to be transferable, it needs to be tradable, it needs to embody a right against the issuer, and it may not be a payment instrument. And if you have these 4 conditions fulfilled, essentially what you have is a security under the current laws. And really the European law does not care if your security is a token or a piece of paper. There are literally no requirements around the form. So the European capital market law is basically ready for digitalization because it doesn't even talk about technology. This is different than the national legal systems, which often implicitly require paper at some stage of the process of creating a security. But the capital markets law in Europe is completely abstract from the technology. So this is very useful, and this is essentially what tokenization looks like today in Europe. So if you want to sell, and this is the biggest hurdle really today to do a tokenized security, is you need to file a prospectus with the respective financial market authority. And a prospectus really is it's like you're writing a little book. So when we got this security of my startup approved by BaFin, the German Financial Market Authority, we handed in a 100-page document that talked about, everything there is to know, all the different risks that exist. So if you invest, you can lose all your money, obviously. You have to say that basically on every page to the investor that it's risky to invest your money into something. You have to, list some very specific risks that are attached to issuing the security as a token on the blockchain, like your wallet can be hacked, the blockchain can fork, all these crazy things that blockchain technology can potentially bring. You need to tell your investors in the prospectus about all of these risks. And when you're lucky, after a couple of months of review and back and forth, the Financial Market Authority will approve this. And then when you have that, you can basically sell your token for no minimum investment to every investor in the market for which it was approved, in this case, Germany. And there are some improvements now upcoming. There's this law on digital securities coming up in Germany. It will basically make these tokens more tradable. And then what we're also working towards is to create a standardized list of information disclosures that everybody that wants to file a prospectus for digital securities has to provide to the Financial Market Authority, like, for example, particular risks around the blockchain on which these tokens are being issued. So what is the risk of issuing a token on Ethereum versus on Stellar versus, you know, on Bitcoin? I mean, you could issue a security on Bitcoin as well as a colored coin, and so on and so forth. And so, just how much time do I have left? Okay, I have 10 minutes left. Awesome. So I want to give a little case study to make all these very abstract things that I've just talked about a bit more concrete. So I want to talk about Fundament, which is actually my own startup, which currently is running one of the 3 approved digital security offerings in Germany. And what is Fundament? To give you a quick idea, Fundament does 2 things. It helps traditional issuers of securities to issue digital securities. Okay, so it's like a new kind of fund provider, because Fundament really focuses on issuers of funds, for example, real estate, or private equity, or venture capital, or all these kinds of fund structures that we know today Fundament wants to digitize with security tokens. And that's the one thing it does. And the other thing it does, it has a digital platform where investors from essentially all over the world can log in and invest into these digital funds. That's the idea of it. And really what it wants to disrupt is the industry of fund providers and fund issuers. And I will just show you a slide. Just quickly, the market of fund issuance is huge. If you've never heard about it, it will blow your mind. It's a $1 trillion industry, and it's full of intermediaries that essentially do nothing, but they get a lot of money for doing nothing. And it's now, I think, with blockchain and generally digitalization, the perfect timing to go into this industry. And so, if you look at this slide, I think it becomes apparent. I'm sorry, it's full of text, but it kind of makes sense. So, when you think about the process of investing into something, you really have 2 parties that matter. You have an investor, and you have an issuer, so a buyer and a seller. And everything that is in between these 2 parties, you really have to question, is that intermediary necessary for these 2 parties to achieve that goal? And today, when you think about a traditional process of investing into something, you have a number of intermediaries. So you have an investor, Investor A. That investor has a depot at a bank. The depot is what in the blockchain world we call a wallet. But the depot really is, you know, an account at a bank for which you're paying, essentially. Then you need a broker, which is somebody that has access to buying securities on your behalf. And this broker talks to an investment bank, which is basically selling the securities on behalf of the person that is actually selling the securities. Then this investment bank goes through a clearinghouse. The clearinghouse goes through a central depository, and in the central depository is where you store the securities. It's where you keep the actual ledger of who owns what. And then typically you have another kind of intermediary involved, which is a capital management company, which basically manages the money on behalf of the issuer of the security that is being taken in. So you can see we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 intermediaries, of which really you don't need a single one. And it creates immense complexity, and all of these intermediaries take a percentage of the money that is flowing. So it's not fixed fees, it's just percentages. And what that translates into is just reduced returns for the investor, because essentially all the cost of these intermediaries are being paid by the investors. Now, what is Fundament doing differently? It's very simple. Fundament just throws all of these intermediaries out. And Fundament, in this case, is really just, a placeholder for this new blockchain-based process of digital securities. So, first of all, you don't need a bank, a depot anymore. You can actually self-custody your securities. And this is basically a historic novelty of, I think, epic proportions. Because the last time that as an investor you could hold securities by yourself was when all this stuff was on paper, right? In the world of digitalization, when the internet came around and computers, basically the idea that you hold your own securities by yourself, it was completely removed. It didn't even exist. And so you can self-custody, you don't need a broker, you directly connect to just one intermediary, basically, which is a website that Fundament is providing, but could be anybody else. And on this website, you directly buy the securities from the issuer, and the securities obviously are represented by blockchain-based tokens. What is the benefit for investors? Well, in this case, they pay basically no fees, and they can invest with no minimum investment amount, right? So, and they can invest with cryptocurrencies. So imagine you're, somewhere on planet Earth, you have no bank account, or you have at least no Euro bank account, and you want to invest into the European capital market. Let's say you want to buy German real estate. How do you even go about it? Well, now it's very simple. You would just go to a website and transfer some cryptocurrency into a smart contract. In our case, we're using the Ethereum blockchain. You transfer cryptocurrency there, and in return, you receive directly into your wallet a token that represents a fully regulated security under European law, which gives you, dividends annually and so on and so forth. So this is a totally different investment process that has not been possible before blockchain. And I personally believe this is going to be very disruptive. And what is astonishing to me, but what I'm also very proud of, is that Germany actually now politically supports this deep change to this entrenched financial industry, which is quite amazing. So essentially from your smartphone wallet, so my smartphone, I've left it there on the table, but on my smartphone I have hundreds of security tokens just on the wallet of my phone, and the private key is on that phone. And so you have a very simple experience of investing online into regulated financial instruments. We think this is mind-blowing. So I'm just skipping through the slides. The first product that we tokenized is real estate, and the next one that is coming is infrastructure and private equity funds, venture capital funds, renewable energy funds, shipping, sports and esports. So you can essentially tokenize everything, and with Fundament, we're focused on tokenizing funds that invest in these kinds of verticals because they promise interesting returns. And it's funny when you look at the websites of leading fund providers today, you cannot even buy the securities that they are issuing on their website. Like, there's no buy button. It's like mind-blowing. You can't imagine how backwards this industry is. And so I think it's a perfect use case to introduce blockchain in a meaningful way. I think we all of us in this room that have been following blockchain for years, we've all been wondering, well, when is there going to be a real use case for blockchain that is actually, getting massive traction? And my feeling is that digital securities are the first real use case for blockchain that will have a mass market impact. But we can argue about that, I guess, later. And yeah, so this is my co-founder, Robin. That's me. We created this company. We're collaborating with some big institutions, which we're proud of. And so, yeah, I'm just skipping through the slides now to see if there's something interesting left for me to tell you. Yeah, so essentially, that's our first product, a German real estate on the blockchain. And yeah, I think that's most of the interesting stuff I had to say. I'm very much looking forward to discussions and questions, and thank you very much for your attention. I hope this was interesting to you, and yeah, talk to you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Glass, for your valuable sharing. 我们非常感谢 Mr. Glass 他一些很珍贵的分享。那接下来我们今天上午的第二个演讲呢，我们要邀请到我们第二位贵宾。Please allow me to introduce to you Mr. Ronald Tucker. He's the founder and president of Blockchain Australia Association, and he will talk about the responsible government industry cooperation and cross-border collaboration. 那我们用热烈掌声欢迎 Mr. Tucker 上台为我们演讲。
Thank you. Good morning. So I may just stand at the podium here. That way I can nurse my coffee and take the edge off the jet lag from Manila. And have a look at my notes. Right, so I've been asked here to share, I guess, the story of government-industry collaboration. And that story really starts in Australia. And as they say, necessity is the mother of all invention. So much of the work that we've done and the accomplishments that we've achieved has come from us needing to respond to very difficult challenges and to, essentially regulate or be regulated, disrupt or be disrupted. What I might do, though, is actually just skip to the end because it's a little bit more relevant to the work we're doing today now at the international level rather than taking us through the Australian story, and then we'll step back. Oh, there's a little bit here. You guys getting all this? Taking notes? No. All right. So we're going to talk about the International Digital Asset Exchange Association, which is the first organization at the global level that represents the interests of the major crypto exchanges of the world, or what is now known as virtual asset service providers. Ooh, we should almost be there. Tax, yep, good, good. Apologies, I didn't realize the presentation would actually go like this. I thought we'd just skip through each individual slide. Do you have a way to skip to the, oh, here we go, great. Right, okay, so we'll start with, what it is we're doing today. So last year at the G20 Finance Ministers meeting in Argentina, the G20 Finance Ministers gave a directive to an organization called the Financial Action Task Force, or FATF. FATF is one of the 5 standard-setting bodies of the G20. A couple of the other ones include the International Accounting Standards Board, so they set the standards for accounting globally, essentially. The Insurance Board, we also have Basel, which is the banking prudential regulator. Financial Action Task Force gives guidances, or essentially orders to the world's central banks and financial crimes regulators, such as AUSTRAC in Australia, FinCEN in the US, FinTrack, et cetera, et cetera. So the G20 finance ministers last year gave an order to FATF to regulate crypto, all right, clean it up globally. This came as a little bit of a double-edged sword for our industry. On the one hand, it put us on the back foot because essentially, to come into compliance very quickly, we would be required as a group of crypto exchanges globally to have the equivalent of a technology solution that serves similar to what SWIFT does for the banking sector, all right? This directive came June 2018. There was a year-long process where the new guidelines were actually developed. There was very little consultation with our industry, with the actual crypto exchanges themselves. And what happened was February 22nd of this year, the proposed standards came forward, and it was a little bit of a bombshell to our industry, realizing we had to build a SWIFT network, essentially, overnight, and to do so by, we were told, June of this year, in time for the G20 Leaders Summit in Osaka, Japan. There was one final consultation in May, where 200 representatives were gathered and brought to the United Nations in Vienna to discuss these new guidelines and the recommendations that crypto would have to contend with. About one quarter were central banks of the world. Another quarter were the financial crimes regulators. Another quarter were then crypto ourselves. So about 45 of the major crypto brands in the world were represented, the likes of Coinbase, BitMEX, Bitfinex, Kraken, even Facebook was represented there as well. And then the last quarter were the world's existing financial incumbents, many of the American banks actually. So over that two-day exercise where industry was consulted, we were told that we needed to move very quickly and build this new technology system. We asked for an extension, essentially of 6 to 12 months. We stood on stage for about 4 hours at the United Nations and sort of explained the work we were doing in the 38 different jurisdictions that were represented or would have to come into compliance with these new recommendations. And we told the Australian story, which is something, as I mentioned, we'll come back to, because it was a story of how we were able to contend with such challenges that were set out, at least at a national level. Out of that two-day event, we were tapped by several of the world's leading jurisdictions that actually have made significant inroads, policy developments into crypto, such as Singapore, Japan, Australia, a few others. And we put a proposal forward. We said, look, why don't we have you folks at FATF and the G20 have invited us here. Why don't we invite you to the table? So June of this year at the G20 Leaders Summit, industry invited the Financial Action Task Force, as well as a number of politicians around the world, and 20 of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world to take the regulators through how we thought we could best contend and build a solution to meet their needs. Also ask for a more favorable timeline that would actually be workable for industry. So it was quite historic at the G20 Leaders Summit for the first time to bring together representatives of the biggest crypto exchanges in the world to one table to have a formal conversation. Day one focused on the policy implications of these new guidelines and what it was going to mean for our businesses and the commercial bottom line. Day two was a workshop exercise where we took the 20 big crypto exchanges through a road mapping exercise as to what it is we would need to do and how we were going to do it to contend with this. We received essentially a mandate from the 20 biggest crypto exchanges. And the first priority was, yes, we do need to establish a new global international body to represent their interests and to be able to engage with regulators moving forward. So that mandate created the International Digital Asset Exchange Association, which of course today is registered as a company limited by guarantee out of the United Kingdom as a not-for-profit. Step two was then to create a set of technical standards over the next 6 months to ensure interoperability amongst the exchanges could be had. So that way the exchange of KYC and anti-money laundering, counterterrorism financing information could be shared amongst the 20 exchanges. That work is underway today. It's an exercise called, or an initiative called VISO, which is a little bit of a play on ISO standard setting and of course Visa. So we have representatives in a joint working committee today with technology representatives and compliance representatives from the 20 crypto exchanges working to build a set of technical standards to ensure that we can communicate amongst ourselves, much like SWIFT does for the existing banking network. The third component of IDAXA is then to service their broader needs in terms of government relations work and ensuring that the right information is communicated to government officials, the respective government departments and regulators in those 38 countries, as well as at the international level. So government relations is number one. That's a key component of IDAXA. Two is then legal support and legal services, all right? This is also quite critical. you'll find that in a number of these countries, there were usually one or two law firms that would have worked closely with the regulators in the early days in advising them on policy outcomes or delivering, if you go so far as Bitcoin licenses. So working with the right law firms globally to ensure that we get the right outcomes is critical. So this is a second deliverable of IDAXA. Third is communications and PR. Too often, or well, maybe too often, you'll see something come out of Japan or perhaps the US or Europe. There's a hack of an exchange. Who is responding on behalf of industry globally? Where is the spokesperson out in front to contend with a press release and give the right information? Too often, each of our individual exchanges are having to respond one-on-one and take too much of the heat, and it leaves a black eye for industry. So communications and PR is the third component, which is key. And finally, building the bridge with the banking incumbents of the financial services sector. That is key. As many of us in this room would be aware, there's been, one of the biggest pain points for our industry has been the debanking that takes place. However, over the last 18 months, there has been an unshackling of banking incumbents who have warmed up to crypto. Often they're actually building institutional trading desks in the background, et cetera. Much is moving in the background, but they aren't able to step forward publicly for an embrace at this point due to two issues. One has been the lack of regulation, which we are now seeing change, and that's why the G20 Leaders Summit in June this year was so important, because while I said it's a double-edged sword, one part being, well, industries without a technical solution. Two, the statement that came out of the G20 is now that we are regulated, we are a part, Bitcoin, crypto, is a part of the world's financial services system. So the banking incumbents are ready now to sit down and discuss with industry how we can build the bridge for this transition into the new digital economy via crypto. What they need, though, they will not speak with individual crypto companies. It's better that they sit down with an industry group or an industry body to have that dialogue. We're told by our government relations team out of the United Kingdom, they have over 300 legal experts and GR experts working across the world right now, that for the last 12, 18 months, the world's biggest banks are ready to sit down and discuss how we can marry up our two industries together and build a better bridge to support one another. But again, they need a group to sit down with, hence IDAXA. So those are the 4 points. Now, where is this more relevant to international collaboration? Well, once we received the mandate through the 2-day exercise, we signed an MOU. It was actually here regionally. I think it was a great sign of the movement and momentum that's taking place out of the APAC region. So we had Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Australia, Japan Blockchain Association, all sign a binding MOU for the creation of IDAXA. So these were the first signatories. These are all of the associations represented in our region. Most recently, we've added Switzerland, the Swiss CVA, which is quite a powerhouse, which my colleague Florian would know a little bit about. Swiss CVA, they're quite an impressive organization. They were started about 18 months ago, have over 700 members today. Many of the world's crypto, ICO, STO organizations are set up as foundations in Switzerland, including, I believe, it's 3 crypto banks with full banking licenses. So they were our gateway into Europe. Over the next few months, we hope to continue to build relationships with our colleagues, particularly in Germany. So Florian, I'll be looking for you a little later today. The French have reached out as well. The Gibraltar Association and even the Russian Blockchain and Crypto Federation have reached out. So it's critical that we continue to build sort of a strong presence and a group to bring together as many crypto interests, not only to contend with the requirements of things like FATF, but more importantly to contend with the emergence of issues like Libra out of the United States. We have to be very careful about the way we approach this. It's always best that we work collaboratively and keep an open table, keep open dialogue, and find ways that we can all work together. But also we need to keep an eye on the downside and the risks that could potentially come. Right, so I'm not sure if I want to skip all the way back, but this is where we're at today, the work we're doing. If we go back, I'm going to talk a little bit now about the history of ADCA, my involvement in the industry, the work we did in Australia, and how that's now supporting the work we're doing at the international level. So my story is, in February of 2013, I was working in a shared incubator space in Sydney, Australia. There were about 20 different little busybodies, different businesses, film, arts, web development, software. In February 2013, I had a gentleman, a close colleague of mine. He always saw a few horizons ahead, a little bit of a genius kid, tech background. And he flew through the door of our little office in Sydney and said, "Everybody stop what you're doing. Have you guys heard of Bitcoin?" At the time, there were only a handful, perhaps 5 or 6 exchanges around the world. Mt. Gox being, of course, the ruling top brass. And I said, "Hugo, I'd love to know a little bit more about this," just because of his passion about it. He looked like he was about to explode into flames when he talked about Bitcoin. So he dropped the Satoshi white paper on my desk. And I read the white paper. And I didn't sleep for 3 days. I paced the office, I paced my apartment, and I went, my God, am I looking at the Uber moment to banking and cash and central banks? Is this the Netflix to Blockbuster? So after not sleeping for 3 days, I wanted to get my hands on some. Hugo was kind enough to sit me down. It was very complicated to purchase crypto at that time. Setting up a wallet, you'd have to wire money overseas through to Mt. Gox. So I took a look at it and said, how can we make this a little bit more familiar to Australian consumers? How can we make this more accessible? Didn't have to reinvent the wheel. Just took a look at our big 4 banks, they're called in Australia. They'd done 100, 150 years of work already. So we took a look, borrowed the best parts of their achievements, and within 30 days, I had tapped 4 other guys on the head in that office, and we built Australia's first cryptocurrency exchange called BitTrade Australia. The 5 of us kicked in a small amount, an investment of only 8,300 Australian dollars. That was April 10th, 2013, that website launched. By December that year, 8 months later, we had turned over 23 million. And we thought, okay, we really are onto something here. Fast forward 12 months later, so April 2014, we knew that things were getting very serious when the Australian Tax Office called in the 7 crypto exchanges by that point, the heads of the 7 crypto exchanges, for a consultation. And they were proposing to put a value-added tax, a GST, 10% on the entire supply. This was the first existential crisis I sort of experienced, or we experienced, certainly in Australia, as an industry. The newly appointed head of the Bitcoin task force of the ATO, he brought us together and said, this is a little bit of a way to put a handbrake on so we can understand better the implications and impact that something like Bitcoin may have on our national economy. We, of course, turned around and said, this has the potential to drive it underground. Our businesses to lock them up, send them overseas, worse, send Bitcoin underground into the black market. So by noon that day, we realized there was a great need to form a business association to contend with this taxation issue. So I tapped 3 other cryptocurrency exchanges on the head. By the end of the day, the Australian Digital Currency and Commerce Association was formed. Quick splash page, a phone call back to the office saying, guys, get a web page up quick. We need to, put on the 3-piece suit here and start to engage with government and try to make sure that they're educated and close that knowledge gap that was quite apparent through the course of that day. The other interesting sort of side note of that day was there were the 7 of us, crypto exchanges. There was also the Australian Bankers Association. There was Chartered Accountants Australia New Zealand. And there was Law Society New South Wales. So the level of attention and, I guess, credibility that our government, by extension, was giving our industry, really told us that the great impact and opportunity for crypto was significant. The other person who walked in about 45 minutes late that day was a gentleman by the name of Dr. Craig Wright. Some of you may be familiar with him, the self-proclaimed Satoshi Nakamoto. Well, within about an hour of listening to him and what he had to say, a few things became clear. One, he was the reason we were all actually brought together and in that room. There was history going back to 2009. He had received 12 private rulings on GST implications from our High Court in Australia. And he had been dealing with this newly minted head of the Bitcoin task force, which is where he got his, I suppose, knowledge around the space. It was important, though, to listen to what Craig Wright was saying rather than how he was saying it. If you listened, you know, we realized just how important this was going to be to our national economy and the potential we had in front of us. So that was the other main reason why our association was formed that day. All right, so we formed the association, ADCA. 3 little Bitcoin companies. We started. Took 12 months. The first exercise we undertook a month after forming was to go down to Canberra, our nation's capital, and over the course of a week, we met with 23 different government departments and agencies, as well as political leadership on both sides of the aisle. That was key. And we simply explained to them what Bitcoin was, what it wasn't, and we gave them a proposed roadmap forward, which essentially was a self-regulatory organization. All right? And that was actually based on the experiences of, what were they called? Australian Payment Clearing Association. 25 years earlier, they had brought about the advent of debit cards in Australia. And I'd heard the story from the founder of that organization. Now, I'm sure it wasn't an original idea. He may have borrowed it from overseas. But he said within the first year and a half of him trying to bring debit cards into Australia, he experienced great resistance from about half of the banks he approached. It was a disruption to their existing model. And the other half saw it as a great innovation and great opportunity. So what he did is, rather than try to tackle it as an individual company, he founded an association with other payment processors that was then able to meet with the Australian Bankers Association, and they developed a self-regulatory model. Within 6 years, the debit cards, the plastic, has started to touch enough Australian consumers that the Reserve Bank of Australia became much more interested in what they were doing, and so did the politicians. They developed a self-regulatory roadmap model, and much of that actually became legislation later on when it was touching enough Australian consumers. So this is the model that we actually looked at as ADCA and said, look, let us regulate the crypto exchanges and we'll work with you. So these messages were very well received. What Bitcoin is, what it isn't, and a roadmap forward over the course of the week with government. The next step was then a month later, in July 2014, to call all of those representatives together from 23 departments, agencies, and we hosted a one-day conference in Canberra where we were able to take everyone through the same exercise again, explain what it was, and our suggestions for it. This was very well received. It made sure everybody was on the same page, speaking the same language. It was an early effort, too, to ensure there was a common terms of reference, to make sure that language around crypto and blockchain wouldn't be different with, say, our Securities Commission versus our tax department. So this was very helpful. The third sort of development that occurred was the politicians, you know, once they understood, often they're very smart people, and they do work hard. Once they understood what crypto was and the impact it could have, both the downside, but more importantly, the upside for our national economy, we were approached and told that they were going to call it digital currency inquiry. And to my knowledge, I believe it was the first digital currency inquiry in the world. And this was done by the Senate Economics References Committee in Australia. So over 15 months and 3 sets of hearings, we helped arrange a number of experts from around the world to come together and again answer a lot of the tough questions. There was a lot we had to contend with around Silk Road, the collapse of Mt. Gox had taken place at that time, but really a lot of the benefits and the technology that underpinned it, blockchain, which wasn't even a word back then, came to be greatly understood by our government. A favorable set of recommendations came out of that. One was, yes, for ADCA, our association, to pursue a self-regulatory model and regulate the industry. 2 was the removal of GST. And 3 was something else we're actually still working on today, which I hope comes to pass soon. Most recently, we've just launched a national blockchain roadmap in Australia with our government, where we'll be looking cross-government for potential efficiency gains and that's in part of the third component of the recommendation. So these recommendations were well received by industry, by government. Government subsequently adopted. We did see the removal of GST. The key to all of this was communication and working respectfully and consultatively with our government and making sure that we brought all parts of government across. As we would meet with the bureaucracy, with the government departments and agencies, we would often line up the meetings with the political leadership directly after on the same day and brief both sides, as well as, like I said, both sides of government, opposition as well, so it couldn't be turned into a political football. The third component of the work we did in that first year was also to make sure we educated consumers. And the way we did that was we reached out to, there's essentially, and this is the case in most markets, a few conglomerates that control most of media. They'll own a bunch of radio stations, newspapers, et cetera, et cetera. So there's three major conglomerates, I guess, in Australia. We went and identified who was the top tech editor in all three. And in 2014, 2015, we arranged for rotating exclusives with each of those three. Anytime they went to run a story on Bitcoin, we said, contact us first. If we can give you better, more informed information, then we're happy to do so. It worked very, very well. Rather than them just pinging on Silk Road and noise about, Mount Gox, we were able to give pretty detailed information, and they said it actually blew up often a lot of their websites, et cetera. So we got a lot of information out to Australian consumers, and we've been credited with that work essentially avoiding any major hacks or ICO scams or any of the bad news that really has taken place in a lot of other markets. And that was our government relations and communications engagement in that first year. At the same time, we worked very diligently over those 12 months to build out a strong constitutional and governance suite. Everything from bylaws right down to the membership offering. So at the end of the 12 months, we were able to open the doors and onboard all of the rest of the crypto exchanges. And they knew what they needed to do, how we were to operate and function together, everything from media and communication points if they were contacted by journalists, straight through to a strong governance structure that operated similar to that Australian Payment Clearing Association I had mentioned. A few other highlights, back to the international level, November 2014, we also had a great opportunity. Australia was the secretariat of the G20 that year. We hosted the G20 Leaders Summit in Brisbane, Australia. ADCA took the opportunity to host a two-day event called the Global Digital Currency Conversation, which brought together several other emerging national interests with business councils, and again, just went through what the future and the promise of the technology was, but we also kept an eye on the future for international policy and regulatory alignment. If something like Bitcoin was to emerge as a de facto cryptocurrency, what are we going to have to think about early on? That was an important first step. 2015, then got on a plane. I flew to the US, UK, and Singapore. I got the US Chamber of Digital Commerce, led by Perry-Ann Bowring, as well as the UK Digital Currency Association and Singapore's Access, some of you may be familiar with, so some of the earliest business associations. We signed an MOU together, which laid the groundwork for the Global Blockchain Forum. As of last year, we grew that to 15 countries. We meet annually at Consensus in New York at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. And the other purpose of having this platform together to share knowledge and collaborate with one another, be it our codes of conduct and our self-regulatory models and mechanisms, how we were tackling education, government policy, et cetera, was also with an eye on if one day internationally we were to face another existential threat, we could respond as an international community. And as I mentioned at the beginning, that's what happened with the G20 finance ministers last year and the FATF guidelines. When those guidelines came down and crypto was told you're being regulated now, and we were essentially caught at a disadvantage without a technology solution, we were able to activate that network and bring 15 national interests together and start to tackle this issue, which of course resulted in the second G20 and the MOU that was signed, and today the International Digital Asset Exchange Association. So I hope that gives you a little bit of insight into the reality and the workings of how this work is done, the government relations work, how important it is to be respectful, be communicative, take everybody with you, and you take everybody forward for the greater good. So we're now at the beginning of a new journey with IDAXA. It's very much 2014 all over again with the beginnings of ADCA. So let's see where we are in the next few years. Last note I'll just wrap it up onto is how important Taiwan actually has been. I will plug Congressman Jason Hsu here. He's been fantastic. Signed the MOU, as you would have seen, but also he has created an international coalition of blockchain legislators, which is going to be instrumental and key to the work of IDAXA moving forward. So Taiwan has a very important place with us. Look, it's one of the most vibrant communities that I've seen. I spend more time on planes than I do on the ground. Taiwan's commercial policy work has been absolutely fantastic, and I'm looking forward to being able to take as much of the knowledge and cooperation that education that we're sharing together with one another today forward into the future of the International Digital Asset Exchange Association. Thank you very much. 谢谢。
好，非常感谢 Mr. Tucker 所带来非常珍贵的分享。那接下来到11点10分呢，我们会有20分钟的休息时间，所以在座的各位可以利用这20分钟，可以使用洗手间，或是拜访我们刚才稍早所提到的我们的 Block Living Lab 在隔壁的一站式体验展演，还有或是享用我们为各位准备的茶点。那请各位记得在11点10分的时候准时回到这个厅，或是如果您是晚一点来的朋友，不用担心找不到位子。我们其实，在204还有205都有设置年会的同步直播，所以大家请不用担心会错过。好，谢谢大家，我们等一下见。 好，我们提醒大家，我们接下来的专题座谈，再过大约1分钟左右的时间就要开始了，所以请大家可以尽快的入座。如果你还有朋友可能在外面休息的话，麻烦传个简讯给他，请他赶快回到我们的感恩厅。那刚来到现场的朋友，如果在这个房间找不到座位的话，其实没有关系，我们在旁边的204还有205都有设置这一次年会的同步直播，所以大家不用辛苦的站着，可以到隔壁的房间找位子坐下来。那提醒我们现在进来的朋友们，请赶快尽快的入座，因为我们接下来的专题座谈马上就要开始了。那我看到在房间的后方有些朋友找不到位子，所以没有关系，可以移步到我们的204还有205，在隔壁的房间，我们都有这一次年会的同步直播。 好，在这里就结束我们刚才的20分钟休息时间。那紧接着我们就要进入我们今天年会的第一场专题座谈。So we will be moving to our first panel discussion for today. 那我们今天的主题呢是 The Future of Digital Governance of Blockchain。然后这一场座谈的主持人，我们邀请到 FinTech Space Managing Director。资策会服创所金融科技中心主任罗志善主任，我们用热烈掌声请罗志善主任上台。请罗志善主任请先入座。那接下来我们要邀请这一次的与谈人们也一起上台。第一位要邀请立法院许玉仁委员，有很多人称呼他为 The Crypto Congressman Jason Xu， 请他上台。And the next two guests we would like to invite on stage would be the president of Bundesblock, Mr. Florian Glatz, and also our Mr. Ronald Tucker, the founder and president of Blockchain Australia Association. 那我们欢迎我们的与谈人还有主持人上台，为我们开启这一次的座谈。那接下来我们就把时间交给我们的主持人。
First of all, thanks for everyone joining us, and it's my honor to be the moderator for this panel. And since I am the new face in blockchain, and I have learned a lot from the last two keynotes, and I also took a lot of notes, and that's why I think you got the same question as I do. So I will try to bring some of those up, and later we will open to the floor in the last 5 to 10 minutes. So if you have any question, and welcome to raise in the last 5 to 10 minutes. And okay, so just get the beginning, and we can just have everyone to a quick intro for themselves. So even though you know them very well. All right, so shall we still get started with Jason Xu, our legislator, the blockchain legislator?
I think all of you know who I am, so I don't need a further introduction. But I just want to take a quick reflection for the past 10 years. Actually, just over a week ago marked the 11th anniversary of Satoshi's white paper. 11 years ago, Satoshi published this groundbreaking peer-to-peer finance white paper, which became the genesis of the Bitcoin. 11 years has passed. Never in history do we have the opportunity to witness such an emerging technology making such a great impact on both public and private sector. And for the last 11 years, we have experienced the bubble bursts, and bubble again, and bursting again. But I think the year 2020, going forward, as we come towards the end of 2019, will be marked as the beginning of the regulation era for blockchain and cryptocurrency. For any industry, if a technology were to make a tremendous impact, there has to be early adopter. And then governments must set the boundaries and parameters and make sure the industry is compliant with the regulations. This is especially true for a decentralized ledger technology such as blockchain and its related use case and implementations. It is important because it directly impacts our financial system, and it addresses some of the most pressing issues in today's social economic operating system. It gets rid of the intermediaries, the so-called middlemen. It could potentially rewrite how economy works. So we want to make sure that three things. Number one, consumers are protected. The money they put in and the investments that are being put into this industry are having, if not more, serious or stricter regulations than the way we treat money laundering or any other financial crime. That's number one. And number two is we need to make sure that this technology, blockchain technology, is being put to the hands of the people who need it. Right now, we've seen a lot of small group of people getting rich with the speculating the crypto price and stuff like that. But we want to make sure that this technology really impacting the world on a large scale rather than a small amount of people who are benefiting it. So, you know, being put in the medical services, logistics, transportation, public service, voting system, all sorts of things. So these are the type of things that we work to develop and strive to achieve, along with these two exceptional experts and a gentleman on stage with their organizations and initiatives that they are driving. So I'll stop here, but yeah.
Thank you. Of course, I just introduced myself during the keynote, but so I'll probably just take the chance to reiterate some of what Jason has just said. I completely agree. The last great barrier, in my view, is the regulatory gap that is now closing. And of course, as we discussed, certainly in crypto, that gap was closed significantly during the G20 in Osaka this year, where the G20 Leaders Summit officially endorsed the FATF guidelines and stated that crypto is now officially a part of the world financial services system. There's still a lot of work to be done across a number of jurisdictions, but by continuing to collaborate like this and build international consortia, we're going to help close that gap a lot quicker, and we'll see a quicker uptake of crypto. And I agree with Jason as well. Yes, there have been a lot of winners early on, and rightly so. That's just the natural forces of, I suppose, capitalism and the systems that we celebrate. But more importantly, I mentioned that when I had read the Satoshi white paper several years ago, you know, I mentioned it, I saw a revolution, I saw an evolution. But more importantly, what I really saw, it flashed through my head, is finally when a dollar is worth a dollar globally. If Bitcoin acts as a de facto global currency, and everyone has a chance to participate in that through their mobile phones. You have a wallet, you have a bank in your hand. The third thing you really only need then is a good idea and to roll up your sleeves and dig in, and we will see a leveling out, a fairer shake at the sauce bottle, as we say in Australia, for everybody across the world. We're going to see a reduction in dollar disparity, and we're going to see more and more financial inclusion. That's what's going to come now following this regulatory arbitrage that we're closing in on. So there's much to look forward to, and it starts right here in rooms like this.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, so I concur with what the previous speakers here said. I think financial inclusion, which has always been the motivation behind cryptocurrencies, was really prevented by a lack of regulation and a lack of mass adoption, and I do think that this is coming towards us now. I'm looking at it from the perspective of participation in the global financial markets, and I do think that using cryptocurrencies, blockchain technology, we can build that bridge to allow everybody, regardless of where they are based geographically and what kind of banking access they have today, formal banking access, to participate in global financial markets. And I think this is huge. I do think another kind of, besides the regulatory gap, I think another gap that we have to acknowledge is the use case gap. Like, where does blockchain technology really fit in? So far we've seen cryptocurrencies, and we had this bubble in 2016 and 2017 with ICOs, where a lot of use cases have been, you know, put forward, and we've seen basically none of that actually work out. So the question is really, where will blockchain end up adding value to our current systems? I have my own ideas on that, but I'm really excited to see that when the excuse that regulation is missing doesn't exist anymore, what the community will actually come up with to demonstrate the utility of the technology. It could be that in every vertical there will be use cases for blockchain, or maybe it will be limited to the financial sector. Who knows? But I think starting 2020, when the laws will come, it will be really up to the community to demonstrate why we're all so excited about this technology.
Thanks, and thanks, three gentlemen. And as I say, I haven't introduced myself because I'm the new person in blockchain. And blockchain for me is a big term. Honestly, because we are from fintech, 1/4 of fintech are from blockchain. And but everyone have the same challenge. It would be the regulation and the risk. But personally, from my own understanding or my experience, I really admire one part of blockchain is everyone in blockchain community, they are the believer. It's like a religion. Just like I'm coming to the religion, that's why I admire all the atmosphere here, but I also understand how difficult to communicate with the public sector, especially if you are from the very private sector's approach. And we have our regulatory clinic in our fintech space. And that is the platform we built up in the first place. We try to have the regulator from different angles, regulator in FAC, in the financial sector, and to speak to the fintech companies or the developers. And we also found that there's a gap between their understanding, even for the risk, this concept. So can we also learn more about, from your three perspective, how to really build a very effective or efficient public and private dialogue, or a mechanism that can make the blockchain success?
Yeah, as I share, never in history do we witness a technology that is impacting both public system as well as a private sector on such a large scale. So I think it's important that we understand this technology as an enablement, and enabling the industries and across different government platforms to start adapt blockchain technology. For example, in the Taiwan's legislative yuan, 立法院, I authorize different government departments allocating budget to implement blockchain technology on their own services. For example, on our judiciary record, now all government servants' examination record are now on blockchain. And also for our FDA, Taiwan pharmaceutical detection agency, we are now also using blockchain to do drug testing, make sure all the records are immutable and were kept on the ledger. On the agriculture side, we also are now using blockchain to make sure that our food safety is ensured for the production of agriculture products. So across the government board, I think we need to lead by example. This is important for any technology to start becoming impactful in any country. Take the country Dubai, for example. They are now championing the so-called blockchain city or the blockchain nation. The entire country is transforming itself from public infrastructure to government system on blockchain. So I think government's role should be a facilitator or enabler. And government's function should be a smart buyer. So government purchases or procure services and products and solutions needs to be a smart buyer in purchasing blockchain-based solutions. If there are procurement process that are outdated and double effort, we should use blockchain on our procurement process. Imagine all government tenders and procurement projects are bid on blockchain. And it could be a great way to implement transparency and accountability for our procurement process. And secondly, in terms of the regulations, obviously it has to do with how financial regulators look at this industry. as well as how do they define the new asset class, such as securities token and the upcoming stablecoin. And we'll talk about Libra and central bank-backed digital currency later on. But it's important that we enable the technology to continue to impact different sectors in our society, but again, set a clear guidelines for the financial regulations on cryptocurrency. Taiwan introduces the first security token offering regulations. It's probably the first one in Asia or in the world to exempt security token from security laws. So if you do business and you issue a asset-based or debt-based or a share-based token through securities, you can issue it here in Taiwan and without having to go through all the complications of going to an IPO to get listed on stock markets. So we provide a flexibility and a leniency as well as the regulatory flexibility to allow startups to innovate and to experiment with the limited risks that the system can bear. So these are the type of things I feel both public and private sectors need and should work together. And a far more important question is, how do different jurisdictions work together? This is probably today's most critical questions to address. If you look at Taiwan's market, it's only 23 million people. We have to think beyond our border. We have to think beyond Taiwan. And the first question we ask is, how do we comply in different jurisdictions? How does a project that is compliable in Australia, in Germany, compliable in Taiwan or not? And how does Taiwan's blockchain startup go abroad, go global, and with the visibility and with the capability to raise funds globally? And at the end of the day, we are talking about the technology that at its core, it is borderless. It transcends the border. And that is the beauty of this technology. So we need to make sure that countries work together, jurisdictions work together to set up the governance structure, to set up the cross-country, cross-governmental dialogue and platform. And so I think that's the goal that I will be working on for the next 4 years. Yeah.
Well said. Look, in terms of closing the private-public gap, I can really only speak to the experiences that I've had in Australia, which have turned out to be pretty successful. And we hope to lend some of that experience and a bit of that blueprint now at the international level in ensuring that we have a strong governance system moving forward. But it's not rocket science. It really is a set of basic steps and principles that need to be followed, and it's just good business practice at the end of the day. I think it's really important we had two primary objectives when we brought the crypto community together in Australia. One was government relations. That was critical. You need to identify champions within government on two levels, both the bureaucracy, the government departments and agencies, but as well as the political leadership. So you do need to identify the right person within each organization, and you need to make sure that both levels of those parties are kept informed throughout the entire process. We were told essentially in the beginning, regulate or be regulated, disrupt or be disrupted. So it's a two-way street. It really is up to industry as well to take the initiative for the industry to come together, be it at the national level or international level, and put a good chunk of time and resources into collaborating together and run it like a proper business as you would your own business, so we can ensure that we get the right outcomes as an entire industry as we move forward. So it does have to run like a proper business. It's important to appoint, a government relations, what we did in Australia anyway, was we went and found a government relations firm that specialized in those communications. We dedicated the resources to it and took ourselves through that process. So I think that's critical. Government as well needs to be open-minded. So I might suggest as well more government relations forums as well. That was absolutely critical. It's one thing to inform politicians and regulators one-on-one in separate meetings, but if you can bring folks together, I mean, this is a great venue, ABS earlier this year, but I'm curious as to what you do with government relations forums here. I think that would be an excellent activity that you could undertake and bring everybody with you on the same page.
Thank you. Yeah, speaking about the German experience, I think it was a number of necessary steps that we took in sequence. First of all was, I think as a country, you need a certain level of, a community of people that actually care about the technology in your country in the first place. I can see that Taiwan has it, Germany has it. Many countries have an active community of entrepreneurs that develop use cases for blockchain. That's how you start. The second thing then you have to do, I think, is to create an organization like we did in Germany or like they did in Australia to represent that community, to speak with one voice to the government. The third thing you need to bring government to commit to taking that topic seriously. In Germany, the way we did that was to get the coalition of parties that govern the country to commit in the coalition agreement to take blockchain as an important strategic goal. And by having that commitment in the coalition agreement, they have no excuse but to actually really do something about it. Us going this route led to the German government now officially having a blockchain strategy. I'm convinced that if they hadn't committed to having blockchain as a strategic goal in the coalition agreement, that would have never happened. So you need to create some kind of binding commitment by the government. Nonetheless, we're still at a stage in Germany, regrettably, I think, where the whole progress of regulating and adopting the technology hinges on motivated individuals within government that are acting, beyond what is necessary or expected of them. So it's, believers. People, individuals that think that this technology actually provides massive value, and so they're motivated, intrinsically to push that discussion within government. And I think as long as we're on this stage, there are certain limits to what we can reach in Germany. For example, this discussion around a central bank-backed digital currency, like a digital euro. It will never happen as long as it's not institutionally accepted that this is what we need to do. It will not happen as long as it's just individuals, regardless of how influential they may be within their organizations, pushing this. And so I think this is the next level to take, to bring this into really the institutional level. And I don't feel we're there yet in Germany, but now having this blockchain strategy certainly kind of brings us closer to that goal.
Yeah, just echo what Jason just said, that cross-border cooperation is really important for us as well. And based on our experience in fintech, actually we do have regional and to global different fintech innovation network on the regulator level. So it's called AFIN and GFIN. So one is initiated by Singapore, another is by UK. And we found that they also leverage their local partner partnership with the private sector. So that's how they kind of build up their hierarchy. So looking forward, if there's a blockchain, we'll have that. And another question would be about the INABA. So we heard that the EU also have this kind of commission, and they're just focusing on blockchain. So can Florian also share that with us?
Yeah, sure. So when talking about Germany or other European or other countries in Europe, you always have to think about Europe as its own entity as well, because it's a body that can actually create its own laws, and more these laws become very, very essential to the markets. And so it was about time that in this year the European Commission stepped forward and encouraged the European blockchain community to create its own blockchain association in order to gather all the representatives of the European, but even actually beyond even Europe, so the global blockchain community, and create an association that can advise the European Commission on the strategy that the Commission should have, or that Europe should have, in terms of blockchain adoption. And the organization that was created in April of this year is called INATBA, N-I-A-T-B-A. And it's something like International Association for Trusted Blockchain Applications, more or less. It's a bit of a contrived name, but it's a powerful organization. It's very well organized, and it has already a lot of members, a lot of also members which are members of the German Blockchain Association, so we have a strong influence on the organization. And INATBA, I think, gives a great advice to the European Commission on how to go forward. And one important goal that was achieved there is the creation of a partnership of European member states called the European Blockchain Partnership. And within the European Blockchain Partnership, they are currently looking at two very important strategic goals to be reached. One is the development of a European blockchain infrastructure. So the idea is that Europe will run its own blockchain on which European member states and the EU itself can run public services. And the most important public service provided by governments today worldwide probably is identity. So governments are identity providers. And Europe has long struggled with the fact that there is not really a European identity. There are just national identities. But more and more, especially the young people, they feel more European than, German or French or something. And so now the Europeans are developing or this European Blockchain Partnership, they develop a standard called the European Self-Sovereign Identity Framework. And it's the idea that we can use this concept of self-sovereign identities where the user controls his own identity and the credentials that make up his identity, a standard for that, and to represent it on this European public blockchain. So I think that's a very exciting development, and it's basically one example of a working public-private partnership, because essentially the leading companies in Europe, private companies that develop protocols and infrastructure, they are advising the European Commission now on how to actually implement the technology to serve a public good. So that's very exciting.
Yeah, I'll add to that. So a platform like this is quite important to consolidate different jurisdictions' opinions and ideas and efforts. So Ron, you and I should work to set up a Asia Pacific platform to work with INAPA and find ways that we can achieve global dialogue. Because I know you've been driving the V20 when I was invited by you to join the Osaka G20 summit. We had a side meeting for cryptocurrencies and virtual currency service providers. And so I think this would be a good timing for us to also form a Asia Pacific platform. What do you say?
Done. No, it is very exciting, and I mentioned earlier too the first initiative, the Global Blockchain Forum, which already has 15 other nations, and it sounds like you guys have already done a lot of the important groundwork in the organization, so there's a lot to learn, and I think we really should open up this conversation a little bit further and see how much further we can take it. So, yeah.
Oh, that's really efficient. We just set up a public and private. All right, then, since the time limit, so we come to the last question from the stage, and which is the long-waited. Everyone wants to also ask about the Libra, and how about the government-led digital currency as well. So, yeah, and that is the topic I think the three speakers would also like to answer the most. Yeah, should we get started?
Yeah, so Libra is an important indicator of this industry is going from a peripheral, which is on the side, to the mainstream. When you have a platform like Facebook with its user over 2 billion, which is roughly a third of world's total population, using some sort of payment tool that is allow these platform users to use it unanimously and with a single currency, then you are reimagining a lot of things. You are reimagining, number one, how does Federal Reserve works? What do financial and banking system mean? How do we think about currency exchange rate? What does real financial inclusion look like? So these are the type of things that government cannot run away from. However, we look at governments by and large are shying away from looking at Libra or looking at what we call a global currency platform directly. So always when we approach a question or a problem, we need to make sure that our definition is taking a long view. Now, in countries like Singapore or Japan, who are early adopters of crypto and blockchain, they view cryptocurrency as a payment, a tool that you use to pay for services. So, in other words, they are enabling their citizens to make use of this tool to enable their everyday life transactions. Now, this has a far-reaching implications because if you imagine their central bank envisioning a new type of digital currency that can be used by their citizens on their mobile phones and to pay for tax, utility, your tuition, your mortgage, all consolidated or even get paid with your salary, all consolidated in one single currency. And now that's what I call visionary. Now, Libra's issue is not a technical issue, it's a political issue. We have seen Mark Zuckerberg taking the stand in front of the Congress, and obviously politicians asking stupid questions. How do you make money? How do you, can you do this and do that on Facebook platform? But really at the bottom of at the very core of this question is, are we ready for a new type of financial tool that could completely disrupt and democratize the way we see money? And money essentially is a form of trust. And imagine the world that we don't need to verify trust. Today's economic system is structured around the need that we need to verify the trust. That's why we have transaction fee. That's why we have middlemen. That's why we have intermediaries. But with blockchain and cryptocurrency, country to country, they get rid of SWIFT. They get rid of a lot of the switchboard that was created for reasons that financial institutions can make money off of. So I would urge Taiwan's central bank to take this seriously, to really look at, from Taiwan's competitive advantage, how can we create a central bank-backed digital currency? Maybe not for retail, maybe not for everyone to use, because we have already had quite strong financial system, but for trade finance, for logistics, for investments and foreign reserve purposes. So I would urge our central bank to think smart and to think competitively, because today's competition does not lie in how safe you are at your current status, but it lies in how far you think ahead of others. So I think, Mark Zuckerberg said it right in front of the members of Congress in the US. If you don't think about this, other countries will do. And we've already seen China, Xi Jinping come out and announce that they will do a central bank digital currency. And I know for a fact they are developing it. And they will be announcing and issuing this RMB digital currency in the next 6 to 10 months. So these are the things that we have to pay attention. And Taiwan has to be very competitive and really aggressive as well. Yeah.
Being mindful of time because we're coming to a close here, I would actually just I would turn it back around a little bit. On the one hand, look, it's a great indicator of the progress and acceptance of crypto. I think it's actually an important endorsement on the one hand. On the other, Mr. Zuckerberg's statement that another country will do it, well, he's obviously looking out for his country's interests and his corporate interests as well. So we have to take that same line of thinking and turn it back to our industry and our ecosystem. If you do believe in the fundamental philosophical values of crypto, open source, transparency, financial inclusion, it's up to us as the rest of the international community and industry to ensure that we have that seat at the table. Competition remains in place and access is open to all. So we need to continue to work together and be mindful, carefully measured when considering something like Libra that's arising. Still, at the same time, it's also really important to be open-minded and collaborative and considerate of what values they may bring to the table. So it's really going to be truly a collaborative effort for all of us to come together and keep each other, on point and on our toes.
I think, you just said it's a great validation of what the crypto community has done over the past decade. I think the first question to ask, though, is how crypto is Libra, right? They might be using blockchain technology on some level of the stack, but how much of the values do they share that have really defined crypto so far? And if you look at the current plans for Libra, is that it will be essentially a private blockchain. You cannot just become a validator of it. And the question is, how much write access do you really get to the chain, and how much do you have to go through basically intermediaries and APIs to really access the chain? They will not open up the wallet that they are providing. At least the Calibra wallet will not be open for other crypto assets. So they are building a very closed ecosystem, and the question is, does it even matter that they are using blockchain? They could use a MySQL database in the back end. It's like, who cares? That's like the negative view on Libra, and I have been speaking to them, and I'm urging them to actually open up and embrace the existing crypto asset ecosystem, because essentially, I mean, Facebook has 2 billion users, and if 2 billion people would get access to a universal crypto wallet through the Facebook Messenger, through WhatsApp, through Instagram, and you could hold more than just the Libra coin on this wallet. You could have Bitcoin on it, Ether, and whatever. You know, that would be positive contribution to the space. But so far, they don't care, which is not surprising, but at the same time disappointing. And hopefully, they will change their mind on this. And on the other hand, I think Libra is a good thing in the sense that it forces the hand of regulators. And in Germany and also in France and other European countries, the regulators are very afraid of Libra because it really threatens the dominance of central bank money. And money is one main way of governments to regulate the economy. And so I think it will lead to positive innovation on the public policy side when it comes to providing more digital services around money, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, thanks. And echo to what you just said, and one of our Australian friends, Scott Farrell, and also introduced by the Australia office, and who is also the representative for the open banking in Australia. And he say, data is the new money. So if you put data system and the money system all together, that means two money systems in the same plate. And that will make the owner really powerful and really scary as well. So that's for everyone to think. So, okay, so before we wrap up, and so now is the time to open to the floor. Anyone have question? Oh, it's a lunch call, I know. No, sorry, we do have another panel. So if no, so I think let's give a big applause for our three prestigious speakers. Thanks again.
我们还要请台上的贵宾稍微留步一下。Please stay and don't go yet. 因为我们想要为这一次我们第一个 panel 也稍微来一张合照。So we will want to take a group picture for our first panel discussion. So if everyone can just look into the camera and smile. 那我们再为我们的合照稍微微笑一下。如果刚才虽然大家没有提问，但如果之后各位有什么问题的话，可以利用可能休息时间或午餐时间，如果大家幸运的话，可以捕捉到我们台上的讲者们。那到时候有什么问题也可以请教他们。好，那非常感谢我们今天的贵宾，我们的主持人罗志善主任，还有我们的 Jason， 以及 Thank you so much, Mr. Glass and Mr. Ronald Tucker。Thank you。那接下来我们要进入到我们今天的第二个专题座谈。那我们的贵宾已经到场了。那我们第二个专题座谈的主题呢，会有3个部分。3个部分的重点，第一个是区块链大联盟与基础设施，第二个是区块链公部门应用以及公司领域资料协作应用情境。那我们这一个 panel 的主持人，我们邀请到了理律法律事务所熊全迪合伙律师，我们欢迎熊全迪律师上台。好，麻烦熊全迪律师先请入座。那我们这一次的与谈人有行政院科技汇报办公室科技前瞻组张文英主任。那我们请张文英主任再一次上台。那我们第2位贵宾是国家发展委员会产业发展处处长詹方冠处长。我们用热烈掌声欢迎詹方冠处长上台。那我们最后一位与谈人贵宾呢，是行政院人事行政总处专门委员曾怡君专门委员。那我们也用掌声欢迎曾怡君委员上台。非常感谢各位贵宾的到来。那接下来我把时间交给主持人。
各位与各位贵宾，大家好，我是理律法律事务所熊全迪。今天非常高兴可以邀请到3位与谈人。那之前我们的那个 session 啊，或者一些其他的主题，我们主要都是谈私部门的东西。但是这场 语谈非常特别，我们要谈谈一些区块链对于公部门的一些应用啊。首先让我简单介绍一下今天的语谈人们哦。首先第一位是行政院科技汇报办公室科技前瞻组张文英主任。对，然后第二位是国家发展委员会产业发展组詹方冠处长。第三位是刚刚您说过行政院人事行政总处曾怡君专门委员。我简单介绍一下三位哦。科技汇报的那个张主任，因为他先前曾经去了欧洲，去了斯洛维尼亚，对不对？还去了奥地利，所以张主任对于当地一些科技应用的状况，或许等一下可以跟各位分享一下。据说他好像有准备了简报嘛。那我们据了解，主任参访的重点是在于刚刚有说过，就是欧洲国家在于区块链在公领域上的运用，特别是比方说一些能源啊、交通领域，相信对我们等一下的那个语谈会有相当的帮助。那再来就是国发会的那个产发处的张处长，因为张处长大家都知道了非常非常有名的这个台湾区块链大联盟那个相关事务的推动。我们是在7月的时候成立的大会嘛，那9月的时候我们陆续也召过一些工作会议。那我们刚刚私底下有聊到了，我们自己，比方说我们是在产业的推广小组，那可以促进区块链在产官学研界的各界的对话，那发展一些应用的可行性。那国发会还有一个就是国发会的法治协调中心。那这个中心其实刚刚有聊过，其实一开始的初衷是可能比方主要针对一些个资法 GDPR， 但是在解决区块链应用所产生的一些法律障碍啊，降低风险。那我相信这个协调中心可以产生很大的功能。等一下再请处长分享一些相关的案例。那第三位曾专委的话，就是人事行政总处，我们知道在今年稍微推动了奖惩令的电子化的作业，造福了很多30万的工作人员哦，公务人员。那免除了以往很多，比方说我原来用纸本啊，一些书面往返还有申请程序的烦恼。那因为我们这场的主题是在谈所谓的公部门应用，那相信等一下曾专委会分享一下人事总处推广相关的那个的经验，然后来让大家了解一些不为人知的秘辛。那我们是不是就先请张主任跟我们分享一下？比方说可以分享，除了简报档可能会等一下跟我们分享一下很精彩的内容以外，比方说可以特别分享一下今年欧洲行的心得啊。我们知道主任好像也有协助办理那个总统杯的黑客松，也有提到一些，比方说平方投票法的应用，感觉还非常有趣，可不可以请主任跟我们分享一下？对。
各位大家好，我因为刚刚主持人说我要分享那个今年年初的时候到那个斯洛文尼亚去，那我想我先谈一下，就是因为我刚上礼拜五刚去澳洲，从澳洲的那个 Gartner 的 Symposium 刚回来，所以有最这个炙手可热的 Blockchain 的这个 Predict。那我先跟大家分享一下，我们在这个Gartner Symposium， 当然那个是一个美国的观点，但是我觉得是我们是可以去关注的哈。那在对不起，好，我们还是可以看到，就是说他们在 Predict 在这个 Top 10的这个 Technology 里头，事实上这个 Blockchain 还是一个很重要的一个项目哦。那他们其实还是在主要他们的其实他的这个关注的地方是在希望能够有一些事实上的一些伪造的部分。那大家看到就是他们提到就是说在2023年的时候 ，Blockchain 的他们所发展出来的这些技术其实是可以 support 所有的物流。那大家可以看到就是说他们有 predict 说其实每一年他们每一年大概有2万亿的这个美金的这个应该说的商品跟服务哦是会被 tracking 的哈，所以这个部分是一个很大的影响。那再来我们看一下这个，就是说因为在我听到在Gartner 应该是 Gartner 的一个副总裁，他在谈这个 blockchain， 他研析的非常的深哦。那我觉得接下来这2张投影片其实还蛮，我想大家都 不管刚刚 Jason 啊，或是这个国外的朋友们都有谈到一些概念，都很清楚了。但是他诠释的还蛮清楚的，就是说，其实我们从这个blockchain 的发展上面，其实我们看到应该是要往这个右上方的这个最直线的到 liberate， 刚刚有提到哈，就是说其实它就是要fully programmable， 还有 decentralized 的这个就去中心化的部分啊。但是我们现在其实还是比较是这个曲线的部分，那所以在谈到其实就是说我们现在有各个这个产业的生态系里头，其实要去事实上区块链事实上是可以在里头建立一些信任。那在最重要的是在就是跨产业这一块跨不同的生态系里面，他们去做价值的交换。那所以它事实上区块链未来是会改变整个产业的一个形态哈，这个是一个还蛮重要的一个讯息。那所以中间其实要 deliver 就是说，我们现在虽然在这样的一个 status 里面，事实上我们在未来其实必须要持续关注，而且要投入。那我在这边也非常感谢，不管是区块链的这个爱好者协会或资策会这边，持续在为台湾一直在这个努力区块链这一块的发展哈。那再来就是这一章其实也是在谈到我们在谈，我想这个icon 大家一看应该都知道什么意思，不管是从这个分散式啦、加密啦、账簿啦，其实现在最关键的应该就是在 tokenization 跟 decentralization 这一块。那我们从2020明年开始来看这个分界线的话，其实它应该是一个还蛮重要一个 moment， 就是我们要跨入另外一个这个 stage 的时候，就是 blockchain 的 complete 和 enhanced 的 blockchain。那我想这一块就是跟大家做一点分享哦。那再来非常 honor 的就是很荣幸在那个场合里面，其实是对全球的一个报告里头，那个副总裁报告里面有提到台湾的案例，就在谈我们的北医。北医在应该是在去年的时候有公布一个叫做智链护照吧哈。那他其实他谈到就是说非常的这个应该是很震惊的是，我们居然在这个病例的交换上面，原来需要3星期的一个时间，最后缩短到3个礼拜。那所以其实现在北医的这个护照，其实它已经跟应该有上百家的医院做连结了，而且他们大概每个月吧，大概有500多个转诊，它事实上是一个病例共享，它其实也是在以太的这个私有链里头去加密的，但个人事实上可以看到自己所有的病例。那当你在转诊的时候，事实上是可以透过这样的一个系统去做这个转诊跟病例共享的部分啊，所以这个是在今年的这个 Gartner 的 Symposium 里面，这个Gartner 副总裁在跟全球在分享，就是他们现在就是全球的这个重要的案例的部分的一个案例。那这本书还蛮推荐大家去看一下，就是 Real Business of the Blockchain 啊，那个 David。就是那个 Harvard Business Review 这边这个出版的一本书，我还没看完了哈，大家如果看完愿意跟我分享的话也蛮好的。然后最后刚刚就是主持人有提到，就是今年年初的时候去斯洛文尼亚，但给我一个最深刻的印象是斯洛文尼亚，我当初那个外交部邀请我要去分享的时候，其实我还不知道它在哪里，因为它是一个非常非常小的国家，它的土地还有这个人民都是比台湾还要小的一个国家，但是因为他们知道他们资源很少，所以他们认为他们要让自己国家强盛是应该要靠创意跟创新，所以他们也自诩希望能够在欧盟里面可以成为一个这个区块链技术的领导国家哈。那我觉得是一个小国的一个志气，所以也很值得台湾来效法。那这个大概是我这个稍微的一点分享，谢谢。
非常谢谢张主任的分享哦。刚刚张主任讲到一点，我非常有同感，就是说斯洛维尼亚虽然是相对一个小国，但是可能会去想象中有没有一些新的科技等等，然后抓住契机，让小国的竞争力可不可以不成比例的比它的不管是人口啊、size 啊等等的，然后可以有一些比较长足的一个进步，然后产生竞争力哦。谢谢张主任刚刚的分享。那接着想要请问詹处长，那当然张处长我们知道国发会的那个陈美玲陈主委跟您啊都花了很多心思在推广这个台湾这个区块链大联盟，然后现在已经有大概超过100个大概国内知名的一些企业啊、组织啊，我知道还有一些学校老师等等。那可不可以请处长来分享一下对于区块链大联盟与基础设施等，可不可以再跟我们多分享一下？或者你自己觉得说，个人觉得有没有一些很有趣的案例啊等等？
好，谢谢主持人啊，也谢谢两位团人，还有很高兴大家一起来做沟通交流。那坦白说了，我之前不太清楚这个爱好者年会已经到第4届了哦，太可惜了，否则我就觉得大联盟的工作交给年会协会就好了，今年正式成立。是这样的，因为我想大家既然都非常对区块链非常热心呐，所以可能在过去几年，大家知道这是一个蛮新的一个技术，可以应用在各种领域。但是我想大家在投入的时候，可能会发觉有很多会跟公共部门有关系哦，无论是你希望应用，或者是你碰到法规上的障碍，或者你希望政府一些资源大家能够互相合作。我想这是过去1、2年来很多台湾的区块链业者在这方面常常有大家的共同心声。那虽然很多区块链业者自己组成了公协会啊，彼此互相切磋，但是我们总觉得缺乏一个跟政府部门之间比较密切、比较正式的一个沟通的平台啊。因为在这样子的背景下，其实蛮多无论是业者或者刚刚语谈的像徐委员等等，都觉得应该有一个政府机关来促成这件事情啊。那坦白说，我们陈主委是一个积极勇于认识的这个部会首长啦。他听了就觉得，因为区块链涉及的部会太多了嘛，那就国发会来做好了哦。所以从今年年初我们就来做这件事情啊。那也在前面几次的一些相关的讨论中，也得到很多大家的支持啦。其实无论是业者，或者是产业界啊、金融界，或者是政府部门，其实大家都知道这样子的趋势是不可避免的。也都觉得有这样子的沟通平台是蛮好的，所以我们今年7月正式成立，我们9月开了一次这个正式的会员大会，那各种工作基本上都齐备了啦，好，大家如果有兴趣可以去这个 TB Alliance 这个台湾区块链大联盟的网站看一下，那我们现在已经有113个会员加入了，其中有一半是区块链业者本身。另外有很多是刚刚提到了，我们是大联盟嘛，所以很多已经有的区块链的协会的组织也都参与了。那当然还有很多金融界跟产业界、银行啊，或者是制造业也都加入了。那当然包括主持人在的这个法律的事务所也都一起加入，因为大家知道这个区块链+这样子的一个生态圈的成立哦，当然不能只靠业者本身嘛，哈。你会涉及到很多的场域的应用，你会涉及到法规的调试，你可能也涉及到一些产学合作、人才等等。所以根据这几个主题，我们大概也做了一些相关的分组，大家一起来讨论这样子的事情啊。所以这是整个区块链大联盟在过去它产生的缘由跟目前推动的一个状况。那大家可能觉得这种政府推动产业联盟的事情，其实常常在做了哈。坦白说，区块链大联盟只是其中一个。那是不是也只是这个放放烟火嘞？我们当然不希望这样子哦。不过刚开始在推动，的确万事起头难啊。不过我们现在已经有一些比较具体的工作在推动，像我们跟这个 FinTech Space 合作，支持我们区块链大联盟的会员去做国际链接，譬如说参加这个月就会在新加坡举办的这个 FinTech 的嘉年华的活动。那月底的台北的这个金融科技展，我们也 support 我们的会员一起来参加，所以这是我们具体的行动的一部分。那当然还有很多其他的，譬如说我们要做国际连接，大家知道欧盟非常重视区块链的发展，所以欧盟大概4月份已经成立了一个类似的组织，是长官学员大家一起来做INATBA。那他11月份就会召开一次正式的一个大会，为期3天。那国发会是以这个政府代表的身份被应邀加入，这是我们主委今年6月份这个拜会欧盟谈 GDPR 的时候，对方的数位发展总署说，你们在发展区块链这么有，你们想跟我们一起合作，那主委当然愿意，所以他就邀请了我们加入这个组织的这个 Government 的 Advisory Board。那我们虽然也许今年没办法直接去，但是我们会区块链大联盟成立了嘛，所以我们会有一些相关的 support 一些相关的智库会去参加这样子的会议，所以很快的我们会把这样子一些国际的一些相关的资讯，那甚至包含一些国际在监理上、法规上的一些标准的发展等等大家一起带回来，跟所有的国内的业者来分享。那最后我再提一下，就是我想作为政府的一个很重要的一个目的，就是提供资源跟提供我们需要解决的 solution， 希望业者能够参与来帮助政府解决。那这是我们等会 我想人事总处会举一个具体的例子了哈。其实我们政府有非常多现在在推动应用区块链的计划啊。大家如果稍微摄取一下，我们也做了一些统计了，大概有几十个计划在进行中哦。无论从这个财税、关贸的货物的提领，包含这个形式上的应用，包含农产品的履历，包含这个金融证书啊。然后包含这个时间互助银行的验证、科技部支持等等，太多的计划。所以我觉得这未来一方面，未来1年希望透过大联盟这样的平台，能够多多跟我们业者，多多跟其他的政府机关，大家一起来合作来推动这样子的事情哦。就希望最后达到刚刚这个张主任提到的，爱沙尼亚、斯洛维尼亚都是小国，可是他们都有企图在某一些方面领先全球。我希望我们也能够有这样子的精神，也透过这样子的大联盟来促成这样子的事情。好，我先简单的分享到这边，谢谢。
非常谢谢詹处长的分享哦，就我也非常同意啦，就是说，因为一般其实区块链可能之前早期大家比较关注一些加密货币，那比方说2、3年前大家陆陆续续的成立一些，我们有些自律组织等等。那感觉比较早，前几年感觉一开始大家关注这个币的这个领域的这个趋势是比较多的，大家比较讨论这个话题。可是现在慢慢的，不管是私部门也好，我相信私部门有很多一些业者，我们今天的爱好者大会有很多 session 在讨论一些区块链的其他应用。那现在很高兴看到我们公部门也可以带领，比方说刚刚像詹处长讲的，其实公部门自己就已经开始有一些很多的一些方案、一些 project 正在做。那我相信这样公部门、私部门这样公司这样子两边一起这样合作学习，然后观摩，我相信对于台湾未来区块链的发展一定会有很大的一个正面的影响。那接下来像刚刚詹处长所说的，我们的人事总处啊，是有一个很具体的这个案例，也就是公部门区块链在公部门推广的案例哦。那刚刚有提到，就是说想请问一下曾中伟，就是人事总处主要是在为30多万的公务员，其实是算是提供服务或协助。那当初有设计这个奖惩令电子化的想法，不晓得是什么？那而且在区块链的应用上，不晓得可不可以请专委各位分享一下？如果觉得各部会有要进行或规划相关机制的建立的话，不晓得你有没有觉得有些哪些内容啊，或者特别事项值得特别注意的？
好，谢谢那个主持人，还有2位语坛人哦。那我想在座各位对我们人事总处可能有点熟悉或有点陌生哈。那其实每次当台风天的时候，大家都一定会到我们的官网来看哦。那时候我们的官网流量就是第1名的哈。或者说明年到底那个春节要放假放几天啊？有哪几个连假？大家都会注意到我们人总处的到我们人总官网。那实际上我们人总它主要是负责这个行政院的这个 HR， 它等于是行政院的一个 HR 的幕僚机关，所以我们制定了很多的这个人事相关的这个政策或管理的一些机制等等啊。那我们身为这个人事总处的资讯单位呢，事实上在10几年前呢，我们就开始想办法要把一些人事的作业业务把它做这个电子化，所以我们就参加了这个电子化政府的计划，从第3阶段一直到现在第5阶段哈。那我们这个过程中开发了非常多的这个共用的系统哈。那其实到了第5阶段电子化政府计划的时候，其实我们已经觉得已经做了差不多了，到了一个这个感觉该做的好像也差不多了哈。那包括像我们开发很多共用系统给我们的人事员去使用，处理他们的日常业务啊，比如刚刚讲的奖惩系统啊，或者任免系统等等哈。那他们像这个系统的话，其实像我们的这个政府的机关总共有8000多个。政府机关目前就有大概7800多个机关在使用我们这个系统啊，为什么呢？那就是有一些事业机构呢，还有这个一些特殊的机关没有用之外，大家都用这个系统哈。所以那我们会在思考说，下一个阶段到底我们要做一些什么比较新的东西哈，把它应用在我们的这个人事的服务上面。所以刚好在2017年那一年哈，下半年其实在 AI 或者是区块链这2个议题都非常的夯啊，所以我们在想说要如何去把这2项技术应用在我们的业务上哈。那我们也看了很多案例啊，譬如说像这个。像那时候台中市政府它的这个国小毕业证书，它写入区块链，或者刚刚讲说那个金融研习院，它很多这个金融证书也是写入区块链。那刚好我们的人事的这个业务，其实上很多在这个人事作业的流程，它会产生出很多的纸本的文件哈，很多文件都必须要盖章。 好，譬如像这个处长，您的派令啊、奖惩令，每个上面都要盖章等等哈，然后我们要把它留存好，因为你也不知道哪一天你会用到它哈。好，譬如说你要去应征，他常常会叫你减负5年的这种考绩通知书啊、奖惩啊、任免令等等啊。好，你要退休的时候，你还要检具一堆你过去可能服务的一些证明等等。那这些东西都对于我们这个。像我们在公职，如果你要做到，像我现在一定得做到65才能领月退哈。所以呢，你这个漫长30、40年的公务生涯，你要那些纸本资料全部都保存下来，一件都不漏，这个是非常非常困难的一件事哈。那刚好这个区块链它本身写入的资料，它就具有不可否认性跟不可篡改性，所以我们才会想说把这个机制运用到这个我们的这个人事业务上面哈。那刚刚提到说，我们刚刚奖惩令的部分啊，其实我们在做这个业务的时候，我们刚刚一开始就想，我们到底要解决什么样的问题？刚刚我讲第一个问题就是说，这个纸本文件保存不易的问题，很多人他就弄丢了。再来就是哈，我们也做了一些我们过去一些证明文件的这个统计啊，像我们奖惩令的话，一年哈大概平均要发370万件哈。370万件，你可以去想象，基本上一个人就会一件，他还有副本哦，还有其他单位，所以你算起来可能有1000多万件哈。那这是最大宗的。那在考绩通知书哈，或者考成通知书，就是公务人员或者老师都会收到了，一年大概有46万件哈。那人事派免令的部分，一年大概就11到20万件不等，看那年的这个变动情形等等，所以这些文件都非常非常的大量哈。那但是说你要做区块链这件事比较麻烦，就是因为我们人事法规它是非常非常严谨的，它就说就法你一定要立法院通过，好修正才通过才可以修正哈，它有它一些比较复杂的程序，所以呢，那刚好这个我们人事总处的长官哈，像我们人事长、副人长，他们对于这个无纸化、电子化，他们都非常非常赞同哈。所以呢，在去年的时候，他们就有提出一个措施，希望说这个在奖励令的部分哈，只要是这个续奖在2个嘉奖以下的，他希望就走电子上，就电子去收你的奖惩令哈，不需要再发纸本。那至于1个公以上或者惩戒这种比较严重的话，那我们还是走纸本的这个流程哈。那刚好刚好碰到这个契机，那我们也做了一些这个区块链的评估，所以呢，我们就想把这2个东西做一个结合哈，就是说当你这个奖惩令。应该说，我们刚刚提到说，我们有个奖惩子系统，那个所有的奖惩的这个过程都会在那个子系统上面作业。那当它写入到我们这个更新到我们公务人员哈，它很复杂，它有22个表哈，像我们公务人员履历表有非常非常多表，它有22表，它更新到你的奖惩子系统的时候，它同时就会写了一笔到区块链里面，告诉说你有这笔资料是写在我们区块链，那是经过我们人事总处认可的，好，它不是自己说如果你没有证明文件，人家说，我可能自己伪造，说我有这个奖惩的这个记录。实际上，那既然写到我们区块链，它就是一个经过大家认可的平台的话，那这个问题就这样，这个奖惩令它就是没有问题的哈。所以我们在去年的年底的话，我们就是先做了个 POC， 先去尝试说，这样的作业可不可行？那时候我们就先跟我们的刚好也是科技部的。国家研究院下面的这个国网中心，他们今天下午也有一场会来分享哈，就跟他合作来去实际验证说这个概念是不是可行的哈。那我们经过了1个月的试办，觉得都还可以，没有问题啊，所以我们就进一步就是第一个就是这个奖惩电子化的作业，它也扩大到全部的这个公务人员都适用哈。我不晓得那个处长可能还没有空去使用哈，还没去使用哈，就因为。对不对？你要去上去，如果你有基本上你有被续奖哈2个嘉奖以下，他就会我们的系统会发 email 通知你，然后你就去到我们有一个系统叫做 My Data 哈，里面就是你的公务的各式各样的资料，在上面都可以看到哈。像很多人他应征就直接跑履历表出来就去投履历等等哈，然后你就去同意，就是说我愿意就是接受2个嘉奖以下就全部用这个电子化的方式来接收哈，那你就可以去看到你的系统。那我们看到你的奖惩令，而且奖惩令后面会带一个 URL 哈，或者是 QR code 等等哈，然后经过扫这个 QR， 你就可以连到我们的这个系统里面去看到你事实上我们在区块链确实有你这笔奖惩的记录等等，所以这个是我们这个做这个一个过程哈。那因为我们挑奖惩令它是比较简单、比较容易 稍微在法规上我们比较容易处理的。那其他是让我们还有另外一个机关叫做铨序部哈，它是管理全国的这个公务人员啊，他们的 power 比我们大哈。那事实上我们在那个考试院会的时候，我们也做过一些报告，那基本上并没有得到他们很大的这个赞同哈。但是基本上我们人事总处的出发点是这样，就是我们先做了哈，大家久了以后就习惯了，就知道有这个东西了，他就会去接受它。一定你要先去冲个第一步，好，那接下来就比较没问题。至于刚刚主任说为以后大概我们需要注意什么？如果各机关要来做一些应用，要注意什么？实际上，我觉得最重要就是你要先去做一个审慎的评估，你到底为什么要做区块链？你为什么要去？你要解决什么样的问题？哈，你这个问题就定义好之后，觉得确实可行，我觉得才可以做的可长可久。另外一个就是说，我们并没有因为做区块链而影响我们现行的业务的流程哈。就是说，原来我们的资料是写在。就是我们的资料基本上都是写在资料库里面，但是它另外一份才会抄到区块链。我原来资料原来作为模式都不会改变，好，所以就对于人事人员的话，他们的反弹比较不会那么大，然后他们也会蛮接受这样的这个业务流程。好，以上。
非常谢谢那个曾政委非常精彩的这个分享哦，因为时间好像快差不多了，那大概还有5分钟，那我是不是可以再麻烦3位与谈人，可能比方每位1分到1分半钟，再跟我们简单总结一下，分享一下，就是我国如果政府各部会要推广区块链的公部门的公应用的话，还有没有什么一些其他的建议？是不是先请张主任？
我想那个刚刚不管是处长或是那个张伟都有提到，就是在公部门有一些这个已经有一些不管是联盟或者实作的部分。我今天其实在谈的是说，其实在整个区块链在发展上面，其实现在缺的就是刚刚讲的 tokenization 跟那个这个 decentralization 的部分。那这2块，我觉得接下来我们一定会面临到这个就是不管是从法规或者从哪里去解决这些事情。那我最后还是在repeat 我刚刚提到，其实最重要的其实是在这个各个商业的这个不同的生态系里头，让他们去借接，让跨不同生态系的这个去做这个价值的交换。我觉得这个应该是整个现在目前整个产业它未来会形塑不同形态产业一个很重要的一个因素。
谢谢曾处长。
好，谢谢主持人。我想2位与谈人刚刚都分享了他们的经验。我觉得一个产业刚开始发展起来，我本身学经济的，其实我们原则上非常尊重市场机制，但是在刚开始起来有非常多的障碍跟非市场的因素。我觉得政府部门在这方面可能就要发挥一点功能，譬如说大家一刚开始希望有时机，这是很困难，对于很多区块链的业者，或者是这种商业模式大家普遍还不是那么熟悉的话。找募资可能有困难，所以或者是刚刚提到的一个小小的公司面对法规的障碍，他怎么去求助无门？所以我一直觉得我们政府在这方面责无旁贷。好，那我非常期待，既然有大联盟，或者就算没有大联盟，有国发会的平台，我们有国发基金，有刚刚主持人提到的一个法治中心，我觉得政府其实跟大家其实是蛮接近的啦。有的人碰到政府部门，好像觉得有点这个不想跟他们接触，避而远之。但是我觉得大家如果愿意的话，我非常乐意以后多多跟这个我们今天与会的在场业者，或者是其他的区块链的爱好者，在这方面大家共同努力。其实我们有非常多的管道，也有很多的方式可以一起来推动。好，谢谢。
曾政委在最后帮我们分享一下。
好，因为我刚刚不小心讲的比较多了一点哈，所以我好像觉得我刚该讲都讲完。不过这真的是真的要对你要做什么样应用，真的要先做审慎的评估，不要为区块链而区块链。好，这是最重要。那然后再来就是可能在过程真的会碰到一些阻力哈，那就是要多方的去沟通、去协调哈，让大家慢慢接受这个区块链这个概念之后哈，那慢慢大家就会觉得习以为常了，因为就像我们在跟我们的，因为帮我们开发人事系统，他们是很传统的资讯厂商哈，他对于这个人事的业务他是非常专精的，但他却区块链是一无所知的，所以我们的这个区块链的这个国网哈，他是帮我们做区块链，跟我们常常在沟通的过程上是非常非常的费力的哈，所以就是说，其实我想大家在 做这个应用的话，除非你是非常创新的应用的话，如果你把你的既有系统跟区块链做结合的时候，多少都会碰到这样的一些过程，那就是要多花一些力气沟通协调，然后当然就是我们自己本身在中间的这个自己要用功哈，多去了解怎么样去跟他们去沟通去处理这些事情啊。以上。
非常谢谢3位精彩的分享。那时间差不多，OK， 对不起，张主任再补充一下。
因为刚刚那个处长有提到一些公部门的一些科技的计划的部分，因为科技汇报办公室这边主要在做不管科技政策或科技预算的一些分配。那对于有好的这个科技应该说区块链这块科技的一些计划的话，我们也会相关的一些支持。这样，好，以上补充一下。
非常谢谢张主任补充。那精彩的时间总是过得特别快。那我们这个session到这边，是不是大家给那个3位与谈人一个热烈的掌声？那我们这阶段语权到现在结束，谢谢。
那我们还是请台上的各位贵宾一样，我们来到舞台的前面、中间，然后为这一次留影。那相信大家这个上午一定都有收获很多不同的新知识。那接下来要进入我们的午餐时间。那提醒大家，我们的午餐时间是从现在12点半左右到下午的2点，总共1个半小时。那大家可以凭自己的识别证到我们的报到台可以领取餐点，然后也别忘了我们在隔壁有我们的 Blockchain Living Lab。大家可以来那边体验一站式的体验展演。那我们谢谢大家，那我们就2点的时候再见。好，谢谢。